live streaming. Let me just take one moment to check the sound, make sure we're all good. Please, if you're joining us, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're good. Okay, we're going to switch this to public, and let's see who joins. 1 a.m. Don't have any specific topics, just hanging out, waiting to see who joins, who wants to chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. I also hope that you guys will remember, or I guess note that on February 5th, so I guess technically 2 days from today, starting at 10 a.m., I'm going to be doing the 2,000 push-up challenge. We're going to be every day doing a set number of push-ups, which will come from Canadian Mental Health Association. I'm going to do these push-ups at different places around, different places around Windsor to celebrate this beautiful city as well as mental health. Anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun. Do the push-up challenge with me if you want. Salutations, Herzen Ritter. Well, I had to do 2,000 of them over a period of 23 days. 2,000 push-ups over 23 days. The first set will be on February 5th, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing 63 push-ups. So on that day, we'll be doing 63 push-ups. It's going to be a blast. Yes, that's right. 2,000 over 23 days. On the 5th, day 1, will be 63. So I have no doubt I can do it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Hashtag push for better. It'll be fun. I hope that you will join me. You don't have to do the push-ups with me, but you can watch me do them. You can laugh at me for being a foolish person. It'll be a blast. For some reason, I can't find my... Well, this is annoying. All right, I'll figure this out later. Thank you, SC Screwed Rides. I do have a big head. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Everybody watching this, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great night. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear about it. And I hope everybody is doing very, very well. Your facial features represent prehistoric human. Well, I'll take that. I appreciate you liking and subscribing. Do you have any thoughts on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear it. For some reason, I can't get my password. Beyond Ether, thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? Why is the G at the center of their most popular symbol? Well, when you say the G, I assume you're referencing this symbol here, the square and compasses. Got this tattoo a few years ago. That is something where I don't tell people. For that, you got to join. Having said that, you can find it online. But yeah, it is the square and compasses. I will say the square and compasses represent stone Masonic tools. squares, compasses. They were used in the formation of architectural plans and designs, as well as creating square stones, square corners, 90-degree angles. Um, I don't know what your picture is. It's too small, but that sounds not good. No, it doesn't stand for no, sis, Kansas Owens. Thank you for being here. George Washington was a Freemason. He was. He was actually a very active Freemason, even as a president of the United States. You think about how busy that job is. The fact is, he always took the time to visit his brothers when he was traveling. So that's really, really cool. It is not it is none of those things, Zulza. It is neither gay, nor demonic, nor theater. It is a civic organization or civic community. You can call it a fraternity, though there are women Freemasons, but it's a club. It's a group. It is not a theater, nor satanic, nor gay. I'm doing well, Silence. Hope you're doing well also. I like my teeth, Screwed Rides, just the way I am. Well, but then no one could find it, Neil Richardson. What means Israel? Being a Freemason? Freemasonry is not, there's Freemasonry in Israel, but Freemasonry is not specific to Israel or unique to Israel. There's Freemasonry, all around the world in many different countries. My guess on G, Freemasonry is not from Israel. Freemasonry started in England, in Scotland in particular, actually, in around 1634. Spartacus, Freemasons are not the enemies of humanity, because I am a Freemason and I don't consider myself to be anyone's enemy. So, no, it is not. But fair enough. If that's what you want to think, I can't, convince you otherwise. What I would say, though, is I would consider myself not an enemy of humanity. I don't know what that means, Charlie, but I'm not going to look at your picture. Freemasonry is not a cult, Chance Cottle. Freemasonry is not a cult for a variety of reasons. I would say the main reason you need to understand it's not a cult is because cults separate you from whomever happens to be around you, right? Like the purpose of a cult is to say, don't listen to your family, don't listen to your friends, don't hang out, don't go to work. All of your energy and time and emphasis is to be spent on or with the cult. It's the same way that scams work. For the Freemasonry, you're actually encouraged to put your family and your work, as well as your religion and your religious beliefs, ahead of Freemasonry and ahead of the fraternity, which is one of the many ways it is not a cult. It is a club or organization. Hello, Ballister. Thank you for being here. Jared, please hit like and subscribe. Chance Cottle, please hit like and subscribe. I appreciate hers and Ritter, but I'm okay for now. These comments aren't too bad. I do not Kansas Owens. I do not do any stonemasonry, but Freemasonry did evolve from stonemasonry. In fairness, right? Freemasonry did evolve from stonemasonry. There originally was Stone Masonic professionals. They had, as part of their professional commitments, they had guilds and trade unions, and eventually non-professional Masons, what are known as speculative Masons, asked to join in order to be a part of it. So for the social aspect, the community support system, all the things that you get from a community or a social support network. I do not know what that is. Leonardo da Vinci came before Freemasonry. Significantly before, right? Having said that, certainly his ideals, especially his love of science, love of learning, could be considered Masonic in nature. I do not know who Jared is, but okay. I mean, anybody, Freemasonry, because this stream is about Freemasonry, does not discriminate based on sexual orientation. We have many people who are, I know many Masons who are gay, who are straight. It's perfectly fine by me. The one thing I love about Freemasonry is it teaches us tolerance and respect for people of all different beliefs, all different backgrounds, occupations, lifestyles, ethnicities, religions, as well as sexual orientations. I have gay and straight Freemasons. They're all my brothers. Um, Dig Dave, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. So the Waits experience, there's a couple reasons. Freemasonry is not demonic. They do not take one's souls. Symbolism is a very valuable tool within Freemasonry because, like, we look at all these symbols, right? It's a way to communicate meaning and it's a way to communicate metaphor. Like these are all Masonic symbols in the middle. There are also ways to express, certain lessons we evolved from stonemasonry. So, for example, I'll use one example, the square, a 90-degree angle that you use as a tool. That is a literal tool for stonemasons to try and square rectangular corners of buildings. But we took that and we used the symbol or the image of the square to teach a moral lesson, otherwise known as the importance of being honest and truthful and straightforward, to give square dealings with other peoples. So symbols are just a valid way to demonstrate certain lessons, as well as a valuable way and a useful way to share the fact that you're a Mason with others. I can wear a shirt, I can wear a ring, I can wear a hat with the square compasses on it. I can use those symbols to demonstrate to the world that I'm a Freemason. Keeping in mind, though, just because one is wearing a shirt or has a ring or whatever it is, that doesn't automatically mean they're a Freemason. They could get it from a pawn shop, get it from a family member, whatever it might be. I think Freemasonry is very relevant, no face, but it's relevant to me because I love it. It might not be relevant to you. Patrick Stanley, you're not wrong. People are scared of what they don't understand or the unfamiliar. Zulza, I don't ever discuss specifics of Masonic rituals. For that, you have to join. What I will say is I do believe that Freemasonry does encourage us to think about or consider our own mortality, which is a very valuable thing to think about. Ernest Becker talked about this. He's not a Mason, I don't believe, but Ernest Becker Foundation talked about the value and the use in contemplating our own mortality and how that can affect us and encourage us to take advantage of our time here on earth and be more appreciative of it. I mean, Marcus Aurelius in Stoic philosophy also talked a lot about the value of remembering that we are mortal. In fact, I think he said, one of his famous quotes was something to the effect of, when you wake up, imagine that you had died. And then been brought back to life, and how grateful you would be to be living once again. So there's a real value in thinking about and contemplating one's mortality for whatever it's worth. Maybe because 33 is an important number, or maybe because that's just a coincidence. No, not face, just energy. Freemasonry is not a religion. Freemasonry is not a religious organization, nor is it a faith. We have men, though, and women, but men of all different faiths, beliefs, backgrounds, religions. I talked about that. Freemasonry is a organization that champions, and I think wonderfully so, champions religious tolerance. We do not create demons, Dave, but I do hope you hit the like and subscribe button. We're not going to be blessing anybody's gayness anywhere. People are gay, it's no issue. People are straight, that's no issue. No, the henchmen, we cannot. We are not, I don't even know, we are not magicians or like mythical creatures. We are human beings, which means we do not have any superpowers. Hello, Wild and Fresh. Thank you for being here. I'm doing very well, having a great time. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the stream. I would very much appreciate it. Consider joining me on February 5th, 10 a.m. for the first of the, many, for the first of many push-up days. I'm doing 2,000 push-ups in 23 days in order to support mental health. 2,000 is the number of people we lose every day potentially to suicide. And so, I'm doing push-ups to honor mental health. You guys can do them all with me or just watch me do them. Every day I'm going to try to do them in front of some special location within Windsor, maybe the casino, who knows where. Um, to my knowledge, Diddy Sean Combs is not a Freemason. I've never seen any evidence that he is. Um, well, Craven, good for you for being a brick mason. Nothing but respect for you. I can only imagine how hard that is. Um, I hope everybody is doing well. Once again, thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're here chatting about Freemasonry. I've been a Freemason for 20 years, just about, which is crazy to think it's been that long. I don't know everything about Freemasonry, but I can share my knowledge and my experience, which I very much enjoy doing. I started Square and Compass Promotions to promote the many ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. Um, Yes, 2 days, February 5th, we're going to start 10 a.m. every day for 23 days. It should be a lot of fun. I'm going to try to do some of them outside. I don't mind some cold weather. I'll be fine. I'll survive. A little bit of cold weather, ain't going to kill me. Wear a mask. The henchman. So the henchman, Adam Amp did not found Freemasonry. Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati in 1776. I used to say 1777. I always got the year wrong. In 1776, Freemasonry was formed almost 100 years previously in 1634 or 1717. Actually, I haven't either. Silence is violence. I met a lot of craftsmen who are Freemasons, but never stonemasons particularly. A few electricians, a few plumbers. At the end of the day, they're all journeymen, they're all craftsmen. The Bohemian Club is not the next level of Freemasonry. Um, well, Patrick Stanley, there's something very, Masonic about that. Freemasons borrowed from a lot of different ideas, groups, organizations when developing their rituals and ceremonies, including, ancient Egyptian mysticism. They did, the henchmen, or as of like the early 1900s, they really don't exist anymore, at least in any meaningful way. But they did exist. Yeah, they were founded by, again, a guy called Adam Weishaupt. But he was an ex-Freemason. Freemasonry existed way before him and has existed way after him. Good for you, Craven. I mean, nothing but respect for people who have those skills and abilities. As someone who cannot build anything to save my life, I really respect, especially because you're a stonemason and Freemasonry evolved from, stonemasonry. I mean, it is, if you put stuff into it, wear a mask. The expression I've always used and still use is, you get out of Freemasonry what you put into it. It's no different than being a member of a gym, right? Being a member of a gym is rewarding if you are willing to put the work in and go to the gym. If you're not willing to go and put the work in and go to the gym, then no, it won't be rewarding, right? So you have to put the work into it. But I found it very rewarding, very challenging, but very rewarding as well. Um, I do my best, the henchman, and thank you for being here. Oh, still going with the 33%. I tell you, Freemasonry, 33 is not that important of a number in Freemasonry. It is grossly overrepresented. The most important number within Freemasonry is the third degree, which is the third degree, which is the Master Mason degree. That is, believe it or not, the highest degree within Freemasonry. I do hope, once again, though, everybody is doing well, and thank you all for being here. No, because I'm here sharing right now, Zarnoth. Now, there are certain things that are meant to be private, which I should not disclose, and whether I do or not, I wouldn't, I don't not disclose those things because I'm afraid of breaking rules. I don't disclose those things because they're private, and maintaining the secrecy or the privacy of those things maintains the bonds of brotherhood between the various brothers. But I can talk about being a Freemason. I can talk about why I love it. I can talk about my history within it. It's it's my experience to share. Well, it does it because I'm still here. And Freemasonry, we are instructed to be respectful of and compliant with the rules of the country, community in which we live. That includes not killing people, amongst everything else. So, no. No, it's not officially related to Lodge. To my knowledge, B'nai Birth was an offshoot. What happened is there was a time when anti-Semitism, unfortunately, was, I mean, it still exists, it always will, but was quite rank, quite bad in many countries around the world, and in many cases, Jewish people were declined admission to Masonic lodges. So B'nai Birth was started as an alternative for Jewish people, Jewish men who were looking for fraternity. I mean, we may have evolved from bacteria, but that doesn't mean God isn't real. The two of those are not necessarily one and the same. Um, I mean, Colt, I'm not trying to be free from God. I have my own beliefs in God and what I think God is. To be a Freemason, you have to believe in a supreme being. Doesn't have to necessarily be, for example, of the Christian faith. But I do hope you're doing well, and thank you for being here. Well, thank you, Patrick Stanley, and that's very kind of you. I will be doing this stream for a little while longer because honestly, I got to get to bed too. I'm worried I'm coming down with a bit of a cold, and I got a bunch of work to do tomorrow, so I can't really afford to get sick at the moment. Um, but that's very kind of you, Patrick Stanley. Well, I have a cat, and I can barely take care of my cat, so I don't think I'm ready for a relationship at the moment. But nonetheless, I appreciate that. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? Jason, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Let me know how your day is going. Thank you. I'm not trying to be free from the judgment of the Lord, Colt. I think you're assuming things about me that I'd be very careful to assume about me. The founding member of the Bohemian Club, Nathaniel J. Britton. I mean, I don't know if Nathaniel J. Britton was or was not a founding member of the Bohemian Club, but I would point out to you the founding members of the Young Farmers Association of America and the Free Gardeners were Freemasons. The founder of the Mormon Church was a Freemason. The founder of, if I recall correctly, the Odd Fellows was a Freemason. The reason I bring that up is to say Freemasonry was so ubiquitous, a couple hundred years ago and 100 years ago especially, that the founding member of many different groups and organizations were Freemasons. In some cases, they were Freemasons and demitted and left the craft and weren't Freemasons anymore. In other cases, they may have been members but never attended lodge. I mean, once the membership reaches a certain point of saturation, it's very hard to not find, a Freemason involved in something. And also, if you're a Freemason, you're probably naturally inclined to believe in groups and organizations and clubs. So you're probably going to be involved with the development of other groups and other clubs. Masons are not demonic because I'm a Mason. And so I am not demonic. At least I don't think I am, though I guess you're free to disagree. I don't know what you mean by that, Colt. I think Freemasonry has done actually a lot to support small businesses and help them grow. I can tell you when I was the worshipful master and the junior warden of my lodges, I regularly purchased items, food, refreshments, sometimes like keychains and special gifts from local small businesses. In fact, I made it a point to support local businesses, as do many Freemasons. Going out for dinner and refreshments after lodge to a local business, a local restaurant. It's a really, really great thing to do. I'm a big believer in trying to help small businesses. Gay people are not demonic. Gay people are people. They are human beings like anybody else. I don't know of any Freemasons in the Epstein files. I mean, Epstein was not a Mason. Trump is not a Mason. Elon Musk is not a Mason. Bill Clinton is not a Mason, though he was demolay, but I don't even know if Bill Clinton was in the files or not. I could look. I'm curious, actually, now that you say it. Isn't there a way to search the Epstein files or something? on the U.S. Department of Justice. Why can't who join? Well, I mean, I don't think I don't think Mesa made a mockery, but okay. What I can tell you is we as Freemasons are one of the things we're taught is, to ensure that we are respectful of, compliant with the rules of the laws and the rules of the country in which we live or in which we work or in which we pass through. That includes, by the way, um, not doing the type of things that Epstein was doing. Freemasons are not the Antichrist, did you, Dave? Once again, very sorry to let you know that Freemasons are not the Antichrist. Freemasonry is not a religion. Colt, you might be right. Baphomet and Pan, I don't know what either of those are. Freemasons, other than people keep telling me that we as Freemasons worship them, I've never been told to worship Baphomet, nor have I ever been told to worship Pan, nor do we as Freemasons worship those. So I don't know what they actually are. So they could very well be the same thing. All I know is people keep coming onto the stream and telling me I worship something which I don't worship, which is quite annoying. Spartacus Freedomist Freemasons also do not worship Lucifer. So it's 0 for 3. Yes, Nilburn, Freemasons and the Shrine have done a ton of great philanthropy and charitable work. Now, Freemasonry is not a charity in and of itself, right? However, many Masons will choose to engage in charitable and philanthropic efforts, especially when it comes to, for example, Shriners hospitals. I've known Masons who've stepped in and helped others keep their houses, keep their apartments, not be homeless, whatever it might be. Um, well, I mean, I don't believe in astral projection, did you, Dave? Um, I don't know what astral projection is precisely. When I hear that, I think of Charmed, the TV show, but astral projection is a bunch of nonsense. Obviously, it's not real. It's just, I mean, I would say I think you've gone down a very strange path. I don't really understand. If certainly, Digidave, if you are happy and enjoying going to church and being part of Christianity, whatever that entails for you, and you find support there, then you should keep doing it. You should go more. Freemasonry, right? I'll never be a reviler of anyone's religious beliefs. I believe in religious tolerance. Um, well, the CIA can beg to differ as they please, I suppose. Well, I know many Freemasons who are Christian cult who would say they are very well aware of the one true God. You seem like an awfully judgmental person, Colt, about what everybody chooses to believe. You're free to believe what you choose. I mean, astral projection, again, I'm not one who believes in the supernatural at all. I'm very, very hesitant to believe any of it. I get worried when people on the stream start talking about that stuff because I think it usually is a sign of some type of mental distress, to be honest. But, I mean, Rabbi Isaac Weiss was wrong. I can say that as a 20-year Freemason who's been to 1,000 Masonic events all around the world, and all the continents. Um, I mean, man may have made gods, gods may have made life. I don't know. What I would say is everybody's entitled to their religious beliefs. Freemasonry is not a religion. That's the key thing to understand. That's the key thing to remember, right? So when somebody comes in, like Freemasonry is not taking away from one's ability or one's space in which to be religious or in which to understand God as they see fit. I think that's one of the greatest things about it, especially because this week is actually World Interfaith Harmony Week from the United Nations. I think Freemasonry has been championing tolerance and kindness for decades, for centuries, in fact. Some Masons may read the Bible, did you, Dave? It depends if you're a Christian or not. I mean, I've read the Bible out of curiosity, but that was years and years and years ago. I keep trying to read it again and not getting around to it. Some Masons will more likely read the Quran. Some may read the Torah. Some may read the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's called. I could be getting that name wrong. Something from like of the Hindu faith. Some may rely on oral traditions and, indigenous teachings in spirit circles. There is no Masonic, religious document. There is no Masonic Bible, despite what people think. That's just the King James version. But again, if you're not a Christian, you might not, if you're a Freemason but not a Christian, there might be no reason for you to read the Bible. In fact, though I suspect in many cases, many Christians don't necessarily read the Bible, to be honest. Big C, if you want to purchase some merchandise, you can either become a Patreon member and you can purchase some merchandise. So patreon.com/square and compass. What is the best secret ceremonies? I mean, for me, Comrade Jones, I would say my favorite ritual within Freemasonry is the second degree in emulation ritual. There's a lot of different rituals out there, though. So I haven't even been to them all yet, but I've been to a lot of them. No, we do not, Big C, although sometimes I will do live streams that are member exclusive. Good night, Jason. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Well, geometric unity, there is no single purpose of Freemasonry, right? That's the thing you need to understand. Every Mason will develop his own purposes and his own intent. For me, one of the things, one of the purposes of Freemasonry is to feel closer to my family, specifically my grandfather who passed away before I was born. I never got to meet him, but he was a Freemason, and one of the intentions of my joining was to get closer to him, or feel closer to him, because even though I can't talk to him, I'll never get to meet him, I nonetheless feel a connection to him. I would say for me, the ultimate, though, intention or belief in Freemasonry or of Freemasonry is that the world can be made better through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Others would say it's to make good men better. Others might say it's an initiatic experience. It's a club. It's a group. I mean, at its core, the purpose is to enjoy one another's company, right? Geometric unity. What is the express purpose of getting together with your friends on a Friday night and going to the bar? You enjoy their company and you want to hang out with them. Why must there be a purpose beyond that? Why must there be any purpose beyond the desire to be around people that you enjoy being with? Try to make it more complicated than it is sometimes. There is... what's to do with the number 33? How much for membership? The membership, I mean, it's anything from $3 a month to $50 a month. And each one provides you with different perks and benefits. Yes, Joe Grist has got it right. 33rd degree is an honorary degree in Scottish Rite. It's a concordant body. It's not the highest degree in Freemasonry. It's not the most important degree in Freemasonry. That's 3rd degree Master Mason. Well, that's not true the way it's experienced. I mean, Freemasons have been part of important events in history because Freemasons are naturally civic-minded, or, civil and civic-minded. So it makes sense they would be attracted to things like politics, leadership roles, but there's been plenty of world historic events where there have been no Freemasons. I mean, Cuban Missile Crisis is a good example. I don't think anybody involved in that was a Freemason. Jesus is God, only way to heaven. I don't know the way it's experienced. I think that maybe that's blue car effect or frequency bias. You're looking for it everywhere, so you see it everywhere. Iron, who says I'm trying to get to heaven? I'm more concerned right now about how I exist here on the planet Earth and how I can make the best of my time to make the world a better place. If you're looking for salvation, go to church, talk to a religious leader. I'm not the one who can make any promises as to your salvation. Warren G. Harding. Was he a Freemason? He might have been. I don't know. I could be wrong. I forget which ones were and were not Freemasons, to be honest. I used to know 15 presidents have been Freemasons. Freemasons, I know many Freemasons who I'm sure will make it to heaven. I'm not going to say I'm going to make it to heaven. I have no idea. But I know many Freemasons um, who I'm sure will get to heaven. Dude pulled a Muslim. I mean, I don't know. The phrase dude pulled a Muslim is a weird expression. That sounds vaguely racist, but I can't tell exactly what you're trying to say. I mean, look, I am not educated enough to tell people how to get into heaven, and you do not want me telling you guys that anyways, because I don't know. I'm not a religious expert. I'm not a theological expert. I'm not an expert on the afterlife. Freemasonry makes no, promises of salvation nor threats of damnation. Or Islamophobic. I don't know. It sounds weird. I don't get what that means. Um, some of them may have been Iron PR. I have no idea. The thousand password to Israel. I mean, I don't know to what you're referring, but I do not know to what you're referring. Some of them may have been. Christians can be Freemasons. I know Christians can be Freemasons because I know hundreds of Christian Freemasons. So they absolutely can be. And also, by the way, how could the Bible preclude one from being a Freemason? Freemasonry was first formed in 1634, maybe 1717. The Bible was written, a millennia before that, more than a millennia before that. I can't imagine how you could, that would be like saying Christians can't be part of NASA. That would have meant nothing at the time because it did not exist. Well, you're welcome. Probably. I mean, I've been a Freemason for 20 years. I've attended actually over 1,000 Masonic events all around the world. The vast majority of Masons I've met would be of the Christian faith. I've met also Muslim, Jewish, again, Hindu, Sikh, Indigenous. So there's various different types, but I mean, it's just a guess, but probably at the very least dozens and dozens. I've actually known a few Masons who were Christian pastors at different churches. I knew one who was actually the janitor at his church, and he was like the custodian. He cut the grass, he shoveled the sidewalk, all that type of stuff. Um, I mean, I do not want to put on a dress, nor do I want to do anything with different religions in terms of Satanism. I do not know what you mean, Iron PR, but that sounds weird. I think you are having I think you're having some problems in your life, Iron PR, and you as well, Colt 1911. I suspect you're having some challenges in your life, and you're looking at Freemasonry and the conspiracies about it as a way to make sense of those challenges. Um, what about Jack D. Molay? He was the last commander of the Knights Templar, if I recall correctly, and is named after, or the name is used for a Masonic youth group. Well, maybe not, but in my experience, usually people who believe foolish things are usually having challenges within their own life and are looking at things like Freemasonry, or it could be any other type of thing, right? It's not exclusive to Freemasonry. New World Order or whatever it is, they'll pick some boogeyman, and they'll focus on that as opposed to dealing with whatever problems it is they may have in their own life. Or maybe your life is going perfect and you just don't like Freemasonry because you've seen a bunch of nonsense on social media. Though my suspicion is it's more of the latter than the former. Or sorry, more of the former than the latter. QAnon, Modern Icarus, that's a great one. The modes of recognition are different depending where you're at. If you want to know what they are and who can and can't give them, then join. Um, I mean, if anything, Colt, you are going to be the one to ruin your life, or you are going to be the one to make your life good. One of my favorite quotes is, I think it was from Nietzsche. It's actually a comedian actually repeated this, but it's a good quote. If I recall correctly, it was, if you think somebody's ruining your life, you're right. Look in the mirror. right? If you end up with a not so good life, it's on you. And if you end up with a good life, that's also thanks to you as well. You're responsible for your own life and responsible for the outcome of it. It's not the Freemasons, it's not the NWO, it's not QAnon, it's none of that stuff. It's you. Um, well, luckily, Freemasonry is not a cult. Um, and I'm also not a false light or the false light. So, once again, I do not know to what you are referring. Well, I mean, Freemasonry is not for kids. Freemasonry is for adults, right? You have to be a Freemason. You need to be at least 18 years of age or 21 years of age. In Ontario, it's 21. In some places in the States, it's 18. Um, so, you know, it depends on the jurisdiction. We have youth groups, but a lot of people will join the youth group but not become a Freemason. It's one of those things where it's kind of everybody has their own journey. Like Bill Clinton was a member of DMLA, but not a Freemason. Um, I don't know what just legal kids mean. I mean, if you're over the age of 18, you can join Freemasonry, but if you're over the age of 18, there's a lot of things you can do. My personal opinion, and this is just my view, is I think the age at which you can join Freemasonry should be the same as the drinking age in your jurisdiction, because that's just the easiest thing to like base it upon. So if you can't drink until you're 21 years of age, then you should have to wait till you're 21. Because you have to pick a number somewhere, right? Like, it's hard to know what the best number is. Or smoking, or whatever. Like, or driver's license. Pick whatever, like base it on the jurisdiction. And when I say jurisdiction, I mean the province, or the state, or the country. Whatever the legal limit is for something, just go with that. Um, we do not have Saturday school, nor do we have Sunday school. I've never heard of Little Owls in my life. Um, how is it from my own mouth, Colt? Colt, you're being very foolish, and I feel like you're not listening to me. I don't know why it would be not safe. What do you mean by why do Muslims, Christian, and Jews bring their I mean, nobody brings their family into it. The family can. Well, it doesn't mean it's not safe. That means it's an adult organization, right? Like you have to be at least 18 years of age to join. You have to be at least 18 years of age to join many clubs, to join many groups, to join many organizations, right? Um, you have to be over, 18 to join a fraternity. You have to be over 18 to join the Odd Fellows, the Elks, the Moose, the Rotary. That doesn't mean it's dangerous for them. See, Colt, you hear what you want to hear because you're not capable of listening well. Um, well, churches maybe are for kids, and that's a different thing, but Freemasonry is not. Freemasonry is a civic and community organization, which is for adults, right? And again, Elks, Moose, Rotary, PTA. I mean, there's a million fraternities, many adult learning classes, right? Obviously, every adult learning class by definition. I'm part of a creative writing circle. That's for adults exclusively. It's just some organizations are designed for adults, some are designed for kids. Freemasonry has always been an adult organization. Um, the all-seeing eye, sometimes it's called the eye of Ra, sometimes it's called the eye of Providence. It's a very universal symbol. It's existed amongst many different organizations and many different groups throughout history, including ancient Egypt. Basically, it's just an eye of fate, if you want to look at it that way, right? Like the old expression, the postman always rings twice. The idea that call it karma, call it fate, call it the great architect, call it God as you understand him. Just because you're doing something in private doesn't mean there won't be consequences. There is a moral center that is watching you. Knights of Columbus is not related to Freemasonry. Except in the sense that they're both civic organizations. And by the way, Knights of Columbus is also for adults. Uh, but Knights of Columbus, it's a civic or community organization or group. It's a fraternity, but it's different because there is a religious component to it in that you have to be of a certain faith, the Catholic faith, to join. Freemasonry does not require you to be of any particular religious faith. Just be, just be faithful to whatever faith or religion you have, whether it be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, etc., etc. Cool, maybe, but I pay attention to the things I say. Muslims, Christians, and Jews. I mean, I don't know if they bring their families into it. I don't know what that means. There are some people who, they will be a Mason and their father will be a Mason and their grandfather will be a Mason. In other cases, um, I've known many people who are the first time joining and they have no family members who are joined. You don't bring anybody into Freemasonry. One of the biggest things about Freemasonry and the most important things about Freemasonry is you have to join of your own free will and accord. If somebody was looking to join my lodge and said they were just joining to make their father happy or their grandfather happy, I would be really concerned about that. That's not the reason to join. If that's a bonus, then that's a bonus, right? Like if by joining, your father's happy and your grandfather's happy, that's great, but that's not the reason to join, right? You need to join of your own free will and accord, not because you think it'll make somebody in your family happy. Um, well, there are many Freemasons online. Colt, again, I think you have some cognitive biases that you need to deal with, but Masonic Roundtable is a really great resource. I would use Masonic Roundtable, First Three Knocks, Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast. Those are all excellent resources. They're all on YouTube. They're all Masons talking about the craft from different perspectives. Like Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast talks about Freemasonry in Texas, which is its own thing, right? Every Masonic jurisdiction is unique and decentralized. First Three Knocks talks about Freemasonry more in Ontario perspective. Um, um, what was the one I mentioned? Masonic Roundtable, it's more the American perspective. So there are different perspectives, but there's a lot of Masons talking about Freemasonry online. Um, California Freemasons has a whole YouTube channel. That's true. Um, well, let's not make Greenland the USA. Um, well, but what about master in the sense of mastering a skill and ability, Colt, right? Back in the day, there were master masons, which were, stone masons who had mastered the art of being a stone. No different than being a master builder, a master painter. To master a skill is what it refers to when we say master mason. And as for the master of a lodge, I mean, that's just an old-fashioned term. For the longest time, master was just referencing someone who's in a leadership position. You can bring in kind of religious connotations to it if you want, but there's no space for it. You're just putting something in there that doesn't exist. Um, well, I like to think I can be trusted the way it's experienced, but you're welcome to disagree. All right, patiently happy. I have to put you in timeout once again. Uh, well, what would make you think I'm BSing you? Or more to the point, would you believe me or not believe me? What if I tell you the truth and you don't believe me, right? Then what would be the point? There's two reasons for the term free in Freemasonry, and there's a debate as to which is which, for the record. I tend to go with the second explanation. However, there's two possible explanations as to where the term Freemason comes from. The first is that it refers to a type of stone. So Freemasons, so Masons were men, fraternity. Masons were professionals who built and shaped things using stone. There was a certain type of stone, which is a type of limestone, that was called freestone. It was called this because it was very easy to pull out of quarries. you could almost pull it out of quarries with your hands. You didn't need to chip it out or like excavate it. And it was known as freestone. It was very brittle, very hard to use, and so as a consequence, the type of stonemason that worked with that stone was called a freemason, which meant a more skilled mason, in some ways even more skilled than a master mason. And so eventually that term Freemason got taken from working with stone to Freemasons, the speculative or the civic organization. The other explanation is that Freemason refers to freedom of movement. Stonemasons back in the day were journeymen, they were traveler men. That's why, for example, craftsmen in 2026 are still called journeymen or craftsmen, or journeymen, excuse me, as in travelers. And they were expected to travel from country to country, from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, from, in some cases, continent to continent, as a stonemason to work on different job sites, to work for different noblemen, to build walls, castles, houses. In, one year they could be working in England, the next they could be working in France, the next they could be working in Morocco. Who knows? So freedom referred to freedom of movement. They were a Freemason and they were free to travel from job site to job site and try to earn wages to support themselves and their families. They were free to travel. When you started off, you were an entered apprentice. You were not free to travel. As a stonemason, you had to stay on one particular job site and one particular, like with one particular teacher, the master mason, the teacher who would be teaching you how to be a stonemason. But eventually you get to a point of being a fellow craft and being a Freemason where you were free to travel and where you were free to earn a wage in different job sites around the world. I prefer the second explanation to the first, where you're not free from, you're free from, you're not free from, you're free to move, you're free to travel, you're free to earn wages, you're free to earn a living, right? By going from country to country, from nobleman to nobleman, in sense from one master mason to another master mason. If there's a master mason at the job site, they'll more often not be fellow craft. So first of all, there's no such thing as Robert Pike. There's an Albert Pike. Well, no, free from training, right? Like they were no longer required to stay in one job site. It was an apprenticeship, right? Apprenticeships were very important ways to teach people how to not bring discredit to the craft. The worst thing for Freemasonry, or for stonemasonry, excuse me, would have been to have somebody calling themselves a Freemason traveling around the world, or sorry, calling themselves a stonemason traveling around the world, but being completely unable to do the job because they weren't properly trained. A good example, actually, I would say, a good way to think about it is I took professional wrestling training for many years. However, I had a head trainer. You could call him the master of the school if you wanted, a head trainer. I was not free to work for different promotions. I was not free to travel to different promotions and work for them until I got the sign off from the head trainer. And once he signed off, I was then given permission to travel around and work at different professional wrestling companies. And I was very proud of that, right? So in some ways, you could call me a free wrestler in that I am a free professional wrestler. I'm free to go to different promotions, tell them, hey, I've been trained here, I've mastered the art and the craft, and now I'd like to work for your promotion. No different than a stonemason was free to go to different job sites, say he'd been trained in the arts of being a stonemason, and then asked to work on the job site. Jacksonville, Florida Jacksonville, Florida has Freemasons. Well, Albert Pike did not say what you think he said, keg dog, and he did not say how you interpreted it. Freemasonry, he has that famous section about Lucifer. It doesn't mean what you think it means. But also, Albert Pike is grossly overrepresented within Freemasonry by non-Masons. I once heard this famous quote: "Non-Masons think they know about Freemasonry from Albert Pike. Freemasons know about Freemasonry because they've been in Freemasonry." Um, I guess my question to you, Cake Dog, is if you think Albert Pike was so important, let's imagine I was sitting in a Masonic lodge next to Albert Pike. What power, influence, control would Albert Pike have over the proceedings? Was he a leader? Was he important? Did anything he say matter to 99% of Freemasons? No, he didn't. The way it's experienced, that's just a myth. That's just a conspiracy theory. Albert Pike never predicted any world wars. It's a bogus, fraudulent letter. Um, Colt, if the extent to which your life is going to be good or not good is going to be based on your decisions and your choices in life, nothing to do with Freemasonry. I mean, Nashville is important because it's an awesome city. It's got Masons there as well, of course, but Nashville is just an awesome city. I do not know what an Eastern European phenotype is, sarcastic scoundrel. Please hit like and subscribe. I'm not a theologian, Freddie. I have no idea what you're referring to. To my knowledge, he died at the cross. Um, um, Again, Colt, your life is your life. The extent to which it's good or bad has nothing to do with Freemasons. It has to do with you. By the way, everybody watching this, and that's true for me as well. The extent to which my life is good or not good is up to me, nothing to do with Freemasonry. Freemasonry can help make my life better if I choose to apply the principles and practices and put efforts into it. But that's true if I was a football player as well. Freemasonry can make my life better. I have to apply the tools. You, Colt, you may go to church. You may find that, of benefit to you, which is great. But the same thing, it's not the church that makes your life better. It's you applying the tools and applying the practices and applying the work to be the best version of yourself. That's what will make your life better or not better. He is not Cake Dog, and that's exactly the point. You completely misunderstand what you're talking about. He wrote one book. Well, he wrote more than one thing, but he wrote a book called Morals and Dogma. It's not dogmatic. It's not required reading. 90% of Freemasons have never read it. He also developed some Scottish Rite rituals. However, Scottish Rite is an appendant body within Freemasonry. It's not Freemasonry. In fact, it's an incredibly small part of Freemasonry. And he was writing for the Southern Masonic jurisdiction. There's the Southern Masonic jurisdiction, there's a Northern Masonic jurisdiction, and that's not even Freemasonry, that's Scottish Rite jurisdiction. He did not write the rituals as it relates to, for example, emulation ritual, which I'm a part of. He did not write the York Rite ritual. He did not do anything for Shrine. Nothing with the youth groups, nothing with Eastern Star, to my knowledge. We do not have dogmatic work because we are not a religion. Freemasonry, that's not how it operates, it's not how it works. Max, if you want to become a Freemason, you need to find a Masonic lodge and express your interest in joining. So if there's a Masonic lodge in your area, you approach them, you express your interest in joining, and you go from there. I am 42. Freemasons are not wannabe Jews. There are Jewish Freemasons, and they're a wonderful part of the craft. But there's also Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Indigenous. I'm a Freemason and proud of it. I don't want to be anyone other than myself. I'm very happy to be me. And in fact, one thing Freemasonry teaches you, I think, amongst other things, is the value of being true to oneself and recognizing that you are, you're building yourself to make yourself better. That doesn't mean you have to switch religions or anything like that. Well, I'm talking about it right now, so I can say I'm LGBTQ friendly. And I've known many, LGBT Freemasons. Well, I say many. I've known some. No issue. Freemasonry does not discriminate. It's left to your opinion or your lodges. I mean, if you are Southern jurisdiction Scottish Rite, so that's after the first 3 degrees, and you decide to join a different body, which is not higher, it's just a different body, then I guess in some ways you kind of have to accept his writings at that point because you're Scottish Rite. Most will, I mean, I don't say I wouldn't say I reject his writings. I think his writings are interesting. I reject some of his written work, others I like. Like I think I read Molten Dogma years ago. I think some of the stuff he wrote was utter nonsense, and I've never come across it in any Masonic rituals anywhere, including Scottish Rite. Some of the stuff I thought he wrote was pretty insightful, but at no point have I ever, as a Freemason, been told to read Albert Pike or even really encouraged to read Albert Pike. I mean, I'm from Canada, he was from Nebraska, right? It's just he wrote his own opinions. He did not write dogma. There is no Masonic dogma. The only, I would say, if there is any Masonic dogma, which again, dogma is a religious term, Freemasonry is not a religion, you would have to look at the bylaws of your lodge and the Constitution of Grand Lodge. So, for example, the dress code in a Masonic lodge, which is in my area a suit and tie, that's Masonic dogma, wearing a suit and tie. Showing up to lodge on time is Masonic dogma. There is no religious dogma related to Freemasonry. I mean, I'm a Freemason, and I would say I don't believe 80% of what Albert Pike said, um, maybe even 85%. And again, it was philosophy, so it was mostly him giving his opinions on Freemasonry, as opposed to him actually, speaking facts about Freemasonry is. I think he had insightful things. I think within that 20% of what he wrote that I like, there was very insightful things, not just about Freemasonry, but about ideals around things like democracy, for example. And I think that he was a very good writer, but I think it was a lot of his philosophies of Freemasonry were incorrect. He was technically a Christian, but he was also a Luciferian, which I can get into what that means. But the whole point is he was definitely influential in Freemasonry in a lot of different areas. He's not a leader in Freemasonry. I was a Freemason for almost 17 years before I ever heard of him or what he wrote. It never came up in any of my Masonic meetings, in the first 3 degrees. When I joined Scottish Rite, that's when I started to hear about him a little bit. He's really not relevant, though. For one of my favorite quotes about Albert Pike was a good friend of mine is a really good Mason. He's a member of York Rite, which is a different party than Scottish Rite. Somebody brought up Albert Pike, like a non-Mason brought up Albert Pike, and his response was, well, I'm a York Rite Mason, so I don't give a shit what Albert Pike said. So take that for whatever it's worth. Maybe I'm just very handsome, Mark, and you can't handle how handsome I am. I am Scottish Rite, but don't forget, there's not a single Scottish Rite body. I am Scottish Rite in the Canadian Supreme Council, which is a different jurisdiction. Albert Pike was Southern Masonic jurisdiction. Um, there's also Northern Masonic jurisdiction. There's also 50 states which have their own Masonic jurisdictions, as well as Prince Hall jurisdictions, Washington, D.C. Freemasonry is not centralized. There is no single governing body that controls all of Freemasonry, right? Albert Pike, Albert Pike could never have been a quote unquote, or could never been the leader because there is no single leader within Freemasonry. I am under the jurisdiction of the Grand Master in Ontario. He sets the rules for Ontario Freemasons. My dad, who's a Mason in Manitoba, is under the auspices and jurisdiction of the Grand Master of Manitoba, who sets the rules for Manitoba Freemasons. Neither of those Grand Masters is more or less powerful than the other. They are both equal. And that's as high as it goes. There is no single leader within Freemasonry. Yes, I absolutely reject that because it's baloney. Um, and I mean, I don't know if he says exactly that they are misled. I wouldn't say, if I recall correctly, based on what he said in More Than Dogma, his basic implication or belief was, um, in the 33rd degree, you, Lucifer is kind of a great architect. What he meant by that is not Lucifer as in the fallen angel Satan, but Lucifer as in a Prometheus type of figure because he was a Luciferian. But he is full of baloney, right? He did not know what he. Well, I mean, he knew what he was. He knew what his opinions were. Because again, he viewed all knowledge, not just for Freemasons, but for anybody in society, as coming from this Lucifer or Prometheus type figure. But that's bull. Again, what about York Rite? What about the Shrine? What about the First Three Degrees? What about Prince Hall? What about Eastern Star? What about the youth groups? Right? I mean, what does it mean to be a lower ranking Freemason? Like, what does that actually mean? Right? Um, no one ever explains that. Anybody who knows about Freemasonry, Cake Dog, would know that the highest degree in Freemasonry is actually the third degree. If you are a third degree Master Mason, you are of an equal rank to Albert Pike. So, um, you have been very much misled by Albert Pike and this idea of Albert Pike. If you want to know the truth about Freemasonry, join. Um, nice. I do not know who Samuel is Lord over Fifth Heaven is. Um, but okay. And I hope everybody watching this will take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. It's been a great stream so far. I will be ending this stream soon because it's 2 in the morning. I get to sleep at some point. Are you saying I look like John Cena? I'll take it. Because I haven't brushed my teeth as much as I should. I'm working on it. Maybe complex. We don't know if he was a Freemason or not. I mean, I think he was a what's called a clandestine Freemason, if I recall correctly, which means he joined a Masonic lodge that was not legitimately recognized. Right? You got to be careful about clandestine lodges as well, which is a different thing altogether. They're basically pretending to be Masons, for lack of a better term. I love John Cena. He's one of the best. I don't know if I care about the trolls. I do find them annoying at times, but they also are valuable in that if I did this channel to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, then a big part of that needs to be me talking to trollish people. Well, Mark, I appreciate you saying that you think I'm a nice guy. That's kind of you. In terms of me being misled, I get what I can say is, as somebody who's been a Freemason for I was going to say 1,000 years, for 20 years just about, who has visited Masonic lodges around the world, the Philippines, North America, South America, Europe. It's very hard to see how I could have been misled when all the things I've seen and witnessed and the time and energy I put into it. This is me talking about Freemasonry, Skylark. We don't know for sure he was murdered by Masons, Caesar. But I mean, what I'd say is I condemn the murder of anyone, and if any Masons did it, then they should have gone to jail. Don't forget, he did owe a lot of money to people, Caesar. So it feels sometimes, Brigtop, like 1,000 years. And as a consequence of that, he may have been killed by his creditors, or he may have escaped to Canada. Well, I don't think Masonry is evil. I'm a Mason. I don't think I'm evil. Freemasonry is a pain in the ass sometimes, but that doesn't mean it's evil. Freemasonry is not a pagan ritual. Freemasonry is not a religion of any sort. It has ceremonies, but they're not, I mean, I guess, I don't know, you have to define pagan. If by pagan you just mean any ceremony that is not Christian, then I suppose, but by that token, the military with its rituals would be pagan, right? I think pagan needs to have a spiritual component, and Freemasonry is not spiritual. Yes, I've known many Christian Freemasons. Like I said, the majority of Masons I've met are Christian, at least by default. Freemasonry is not a cult. No, I don't mean that. That's kind of funny. What I mean is it's effort. You got to put time into it. I mean, today it was freezing cold outside. It was snowing. The roads were crummy, and I still had to wheel. I didn't have to, but I chose to wheel to the Masonic meeting because I wanted to be there for my brothers. You know, it's one of those things where It's like being a member of a gym. You maybe you don't feel like going, you're tired, you don't want to work out, you don't want to exercise, but you still do so because even though it's a pain in the ass, you're getting a value from it and a value out of it, not just for yourself, but for the whole community. Getting healthy helps the people around you. Freemasonry is the same thing. I was happy to go, but it was a pain in the ass going. Um, Not at all. Honestly, being member of a Freemason, being a member of a Masonic Lodge isn't that, sorry, being a member of a gym and being a member of a Masonic Lodge isn't that different. They're both about self-improvement. They're both membership based. They're both have private qualities to them. If you are a member, if you're not a member of a gym, not only will the gym, not allow you to work out there, but there may be certain qualities of the gym they'll keep private or just for membership. Um, I loved the Philippines. It was awesome. It was absolutely beautiful. Um, I was there for like 3 days. I was in Manila. Jam-packed city. I'll say that. Like jam-packed city. I'd never been to a city so densely populated, but very friendly people and a lot of fun. I mean, I would definitely oppose an anti-Masonic party being formed because I'm a Freemason, and I'd rather not have any political parties created that are opposed to me, but I guess everybody gets their own opinion. Please hit the like and subscribe button. By the way, Sally, hit like and subscribe. Um, anybody who hasn't, Carl Ad Hoc, please hit like and subscribe. Shamble God, put you down for what? I'm not sure what you mean by that. What I would say is, if you want to learn more about Freemasonry, then become my Patreon. Keep tuning in. I have a cat. That's all I need at the moment. I'm too busy. I condemn any violence that happened to William Morgan. Sure. I condemn any violence that happened to anybody. We don't know for sure that he died. His body was never found, and a small part of me wonders if he did actually escape to Canada. For the record, it wouldn't shock me if he actually did. Thank you. Yes, hi to my cat as well. Bandit appreciates it. I would love to do that, Robert Cook. I think that'd be incredible. To visit the at Lawton, Antarctica. That'd be so cool. I don't discuss any specifics or answer any questions, positively or negative, in the affirmative or the negative as it relates to Masonic rituals. What I will say in general is there is a real value in contemplating one's own mortality and how Freemasons, that's not a Masonic thing or unique to Freemasonry. That's an Ernest Becker thing. That is a Stoic philosophy thing. If you want to know the specifics of Masonic ritual, you kind of got to join and know for sure. So the reason one does rituals, the way it's experienced, is for two reasons. The first is for a single reason, right? There's two ways to create bonds of brotherhood: shared experience or shared knowledge. Masonic rituals and ceremonies create shared experiences amongst the membership and the shared knowledge of those rituals. That's why you do rituals, right? That's why throughout human history we've done rituals to create bonds of friendship and brotherhood through shared experience and shared knowledge. They also impart lessons, but there are many ways to impart lessons. The value of a ritual beyond simply imparting a lesson through teaching it to somebody or telling somebody, but actually engaging in a ritualistic ceremony, is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences and shared knowledge. Caesar, you're asking these questions. Join Masonic Lodge if you want to know. Good for you, though. With that name, we have to put you in a bit of a timeout here for a second. You can do whatever you want. Caesar, I can tell you what you should and should not do. Hello, I'm going to call you 8743. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. I won't ban you yet, Ballister. I'm actually going to go to sleep pretty soon because I'm very tired. But I'm not going to ban you, but you need to be careful. I ban whom I so choose. My chat, my rules. So you need to keep that in mind. I don't know what your name means. I do this for work, Mark. Francis, so please do a super chat, just 99 cents. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Share this stream with others. Become a Patreon member. All that good jazz. Share, like, subscribe, comment. All that stuff helps me out big time with this stream and with doing this for a living. I don't know if any of that's true or not, but I have no idea why. I mean, the reason why he might have abandoned his wife would be because he was so massively in debt. He knew that, he could never pay it back and he was putting him and his wife in danger. So he chose to abandon her. Or it may have been that he was killed by the creditors to whom he owed money. Or it may have been Freemasons letting the passions and making foolish decisions. Thank you, Zargathon. We have no idea. Does it pay the bills? We're working on it, Mark Francis. If you help a brother out with the super chat, as did Zargathon, and I appreciate that very much, then yeah, it will for sure. I have no idea. I have zero idea about his wife or Joseph Smith marrying her. I've never heard that. It could be true, but I don't think it reflects anything on Freemasonry one way or the other, positively or negative. Like what somebody's wife does is not a reflection on Freemasonry. No, you cannot, Wally. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying I never heard that before, but it doesn't really affect Freemasonry at all. Whomever she marries, or if she chose to become a nun afterwards. Thank you, Mark. That's very kind of you. I mean, I do love to travel. I consider myself a professional traveler. So maybe I will. Who knows? That's very, very possible. Well, I don't know if Joseph Smith did any bad things. I know Joseph Smith was, founded Mormonism, which I've known a couple Mormons, none who are Freemasons, but they seem like decent people, like good people. I mean, it's a religion, it's a faith. They can believe what they choose. So, I don't know really anything else about Joseph Smith or Mormonism, but to my understanding and to my knowledge, there are Mormon Freemasons. Well, I'm not a Mormon, so I think Joseph Smith was just a Masonic brother who developed the Mormon faith. I have no idea, Complex, because I'm not a top elite. Freemasonry is not made up of top elites of the world. Freemasonry is made up of everyday people. We do not worship the devil. Complex, please hit like and subscribe. Gates Berserker, please hit like and subscribe. Martian Brain Squeeze, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I will put a bag on my head, Gates Berserker, if you hit the like and subscribe button. How's about that? I consider doing a super chat. I do not know what 4547911 means. I have no idea. I can't speak to that. I'm not even going to confirm or deny anything about Masonic rituals. For that, got to join, right? If you're not going to join Freemasonry, then, you seem awfully interested in the rituals. Okay, you know who else had square and compasses? You know who else had square and compasses on their items? Chinese mythology as well. So, the square and compasses are Um, what was I saying? Square and compasses are very common, a very, very common symbol within many different cultures, many different groups, many different organizations, many different mythologies. But again, ancient Chinese mythology, Nuxi and Fuwa, I think are the names, if I recall correctly, are very often shown in pictures with square and compasses holding them. So, I mean, many different organizations have used square and compasses throughout history. Um, Well, Caesar, I'm not going to talk about them because I chose not to. Now, you can look it up online if you want. I would think that's a little bit unkind of you. It's a bit like if somebody were to steal somebody's family recipe and put it online, I would still hope that you wouldn't read the family recipe because it's meant to be private. Having said that, you can do whatever you want, but you need to be very careful because I'm not confirmed any of the things that you said, nor have I denied them. I leave it up to you to determine. But just because you see something on the internet, just because you see something recorded, doesn't mean it's true. It could be a clandestine lodge, could be edited. If you want to know, then you got to join. Otherwise, you're never going to know for sure. Um, well, I think my point is the square and compasses are useful metaphorical symbols. Joseph Smith may have borrowed them from Freemasonry. Freemasonry borrowed them from stonemasonry. Stonemasonry borrowed them from Chinese mythology. You know, it all goes back and forth. Um, Maddie, I am not a theologian. I'm not a theology expert. You can decide. I'm going to say the Romans for the record. Although, wasn't it, again, Maddie, I'm not a religious expert, but wouldn't it be, wasn't it always supposed to happen? Like, wouldn't Jesus have been responsible? Because if it was prophesized to happen, it had to happen. So things had to work out the way they did. And from my understanding, in order to pay the, to fulfill the prophecy and to forgive us of our sins. Um, yeah, he was a Freemason. Joseph Smith was. I do not know what a post-justified reality is, but hello, Adeline. Please hit like and subscribe. I am a super genius, not a sub-genius. User, I mean, you don't have to be invited. Freemasonry is not going to invite you. You should join by approaching them, expressing an interest, and going through the process. Do you go? You have to take the first step, though. It's not about being invited. You have to choose to go and approach them and express your interest in joining. Um, so yeah, it's not invite only. Now, Freemasons may hold public houses, special, open houses, special events, whatever it is. They might hold these things to get people to come to their buildings to check them out, to learn more about the craft, which is great. But that's not the same thing as saying, you're invited to join. You're invited to see the building and learn more about it. Right, but again, I'm sure there will be a group after the Mormons that use the square and compasses for their symbolism too. My point is, Freemasonry is simply one group within a long line that have used the square and compasses in order to convey symbolic meaning, and there'll be many afterwards. Yes, a user brings up the very valid point. It's a common symbol used everywhere. Um, um, Joseph Smith may have taken it from stonemasonry, but may have taken it from Freemasonry, but the Freemasons took it from stonemasonry. Stonemasonry took it from Chinese mythology. The Free Gardeners took it from stonemasons. It's everywhere, right? Not just Chinese mythology. The Egyptians used those symbols. Um, well, I am not upset with Joseph Smith myself. I have no issue with him. I have no beef with him. I'm a vegetarian. I have no beef with Joseph Smith. Um, cool. I mean, I've never met a I don't think I've ever met a Mormon Mason, but I'm sure they exist. Again, Freemasonry is a social club. It's welcome to men of all different religions and women for that matter, but men of all different religions and faiths and beliefs. They could be Mormon, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, Indigenous, or like First Nations, spiritual, Wiccan, Wiccan. It's part of the civic space, not the religious space. Um, a Jacob's Pilgrim staff. I've never been sailing. I've been on boats, but never like sailboats. But that'd be really, really cool. Well, Mark, if you want to help me be not poor, please consider giving me a super chat. Just 99 cents helps out big time. You can also hit the like and subscribe button. Would be very helpful as well. Share the stream, comment, find me on other sites, follow me on social media. All that stuff helps out big time. No. I mean, whether his mission, well, so Freemasonry would never give anybody a mission to start an antichrist religion. That's not what Freemasonry is about. It occupies a completely different space. So no. If Joseph Smith wanted to start his own I mean, I can't speak for what Joseph Smith's personal plans were or his beliefs were. I mean, I don't know enough about the Mormon faith to say. I've never seen anything that indicates to me the Mormon faith is bad. It's just a different faith. It's a different belief, which there's nothing wrong with. People should be allowed to worship as they see fit, as they understand, and in a way that brings them comfort and peace. I do have insurance. Every Mason should have insurance. I don't want people to necessarily join Freemasonry. I mean, if they do, great. I just want to talk about why I love Freemasonry. That's enough for me. If you choose to join or choose not to join, so be it. It's kind of like if I started a YouTube channel talking about my favorite movies. You don't have to watch them. I kind of hope you will, but you don't have to. It's completely up to you. I love Freemasonry, but I love Freemasonry. I don't expect everybody else to love it. I just love it. I don't know what that means, not Brett, but please hit like and subscribe. Freemasonry can be very challenging, but it's also, and can create sadness because it's a lot of work and effort, but that's okay. Good evening, brother. So moted. Welcome, Canon USMC. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having an excellent night. I'm going to be ending this stream soon, Canon, because it's 2:30 in the morning. I got to get to sleep at some point, but thank you for being here. Well, I mean, I buy that Joseph Smith may have claimed that, but Joseph Smith is wrong. Freemasonry came from stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages, 15th and 16th centuries. That's where it came from. It developed rituals and symbolism based on a lot of different areas, including Solomon, who was a very important figure within Freemasonry. But that's not where it came from. It came from stone masonry and stone Masonic guilds. Well, I'm here, so I'm still alive. And Freemasonry does not kill people. Freemasonry, one of the things we're taught is to obey the laws of the country in which we live. That includes not killing people. I would think that'd be near the top. And if I ever were to find out that a Mason had killed anybody for any reason, I would inform the authorities immediately, right? We are to be good citizens. I think that's one of the best things about Freemasonry is that we are to be good citizens, respectful of the civil laws of the country in which we live. Cool. I'll have to check it out, Zargathon, if I can find it. Thank you for sharing that. I cannot fix your fireplace. Well, he was at least wrong based on my interpretation. He may have believed it, and which is perfectly fine. He gets to have his own interpretation. I don't think there's any evidence for his interpretation. So sure, but I'm not going to knock anybody's religion. If that's what, again, it's no different than anything else. If that's what they believe, or maybe he believed that he was creating the more accurate version what he wanted Freemasonry to be. I have no idea. I can't speak to Joseph Smith and his, what he believed. All I can say is Freemasonry did not evolve directly from King Solomon's Temple. It evolved from stonemason guilds in the um, 15th and 16th centuries. Here, I'll look for him, Zargathon. Thank you for being here. I do not know anybody who does grouting. Yes, there's a lot of Hugh Grants in here. I mean, I guess what I'd say is that is not my interpretation of Freemasonry is very different from his. I don't know on what he's basing it, but I do not see any evidence to support his claim. But again, I'm not of the Mormon faith. Um, well, I don't know if any, again, now this is kind of getting off topic a little bit. This is a whole other can of tuna. Again, I'm speaking about Freemasonry. My personal opinion is I'm not sure if you can say any religion is true in the objective sense. I don't know how you define true in the objective sense. I think the thing that makes Freemasonry so beautiful and so wonderful, one of the many things, is the fact that it welcomes men of all different faiths and all different beliefs to come together in mutual harmony. And a Mormon and a Christian and a Hindu and a Sikh and a Muslim can all sit together and work together towards growth and towards building a better world. Um, which one of those faiths is objectively true? I have no idea. That's not up for me to say. Um, oh well, I mean, I guess Caesar, if that's what you think, then so be it. I'm not sure about objective truth and free when it comes to religion. I think, I guess we'll all find out at some point. All I know is I respect people's religious faiths, whatever they may be. That doesn't mean I agree with them or disagree with them. That just means I respect their right to believe and I respect the right to worship as they understand it. Um, when it comes to Freemasonry, because it's not a religion, whatever one believes in terms of one's religious beliefs, they are encouraged to support it. I've known Muslim Freemasons and Jewish Freemasons, all of whom are active in their faith, attend their churches, their synagogues, their mosques. Freemasonry occupies a different space. In fact, we are not allowed to discuss religion or politics while in lodge. So somebody asked me above, am I GOP or Democrat? I'm Canadian. Tony, please hit like and subscribe. But the other thing to keep in mind is within Freemasonry, we cannot discuss religion or politics in lodge. I mean, Freemasons do not rule the world, and we are not evil, so you're 0 for 2. Complex. Freemasonry was not found. That's a weird way to describe it. Freemasonry was created or evolved from stonemasonry. You had stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages, and then in 1634, 3 men in Scotland asked if they could join the guild, not to work on stone, but in order to, for the social aspect of it, the social safety net, to be part of a club. And Freemasonry was formed therein, the development of speculative Freemasonry or speculative Masons. Stonemasonry, I mean, that you could argue goes back millions of years to when the first human ancestors created stone tools on the plains of Africa, 3.3 million years ago. But that's stonemasonry. Freemasonry, the club, started in the Middle Ages and evolved from stone Masonic guilds or trade unions, basically. Freemasons are not Luciferians. Gone. Someone's been reading too much Albert Pike and not understanding what they're reading. I am, because I got my computer set up as well. Sometimes I find Mantis, it's a lot easier to read the chat through the computer screen than through this. Thank you, Tony. That's incredibly kind of you. Tarsus Freemasons are not demonic. If you join, you will get a badge, but I cannot fix your wall. Don't ask me to fix anything. Again, Freemasonry is a speculative organization, not a operative one. I do not know who Merit is. Um, no, I have a cat. If I can find my cat, I'll show him to you. But I don't have a beaver. And no jokes in the chat, please. Tony, thank you again. That is incredibly kind of you. Crypto recall, you are wrong about that as well. I would potentially believe what you're saying if I had less experience. I've been a Freemason for 20 years. I've attended over 1,000 Masonic events all around the world. Um, I've been to events in the Philippines, in North America, South America, Rio, Brazil, so Rio de Janeiro, Bogota, Colombia, England, Scotland, Manila, Texas, California, Florida, New York, Illinois, Ontario, Manitoba, Nova Scotia. Sometimes I advise them on coming, sometimes I don't. At a certain point, I have to accept what I'm seeing, what I'm understanding, what I'm noticing, and what I've always seen, noticed, and understood. Freemasonry is a group of men trying to, if nothing else, make themselves better, enjoying each other's company, or trying to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Um, my teeth are fine. They're perfectly fine. Um, I do not know what that means, Tony, but anybody can join Freemasonry. We have men of all different faiths, religions, backgrounds, races, ethnicities, languages, etc., etc. You got to get used to it. It's very tough. But yeah, I think I will put Mark in a bit of a timeout. There you go. Sky, if you want to learn, then you got to join. We do not rule the world, Caesar. Again, you keep saying one thing, I keep telling you you're wrong. At a certain point, you're just going to have to either believe me or not believe me. And you're free to not believe me. I can't make you believe me. But what I can say is I would suggest you, you take my 20 years of experience, my over 1,000 Masonic events around the world with maybe a little bit more of a recognition that maybe I know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm sure some Freemasons do drugs. I mean, I would say Freemasons shouldn't do drugs, but Freemasons are human beings. We have all the foibles that any humans do. I've made plenty of mistakes. I've done plenty of things and made plenty of choices that I regret. I'm sure some Masons do drugs. I mean, I do drink way too much caffeine, which is a type of drug. So there's that. So George Washington was a Freemason. Freemasons do not make the world a worse place. Freemasonry makes the world a better place. What difference would it make? I've never smoked anything inside my lodge. Lodges are smoke-free environments. What difference would it make, Bacon Burner, if I had a ring? You can buy rings at pawn shops without being a Freemason. You can actually order them online without being a Freemason. Um, so why do I need to show you a ring? Exactly. I've got tattoos. Does that count? Um, no, Washington remained as a Freemason he actually died with Masonic funeral service, if I recall correctly. Um, I have not. Reptilian shapeshifters do not exist, Caesar. Um, there is no such thing as a reptilian shapeshifter. I do hope everybody watching this will hit the like and subscribe button. Skylark, yes, they can. We have the Order of Women Freemasons. We also have Eastern Star. And in Ontario, we have co-masonry. It's neither the ring nor the handshake, because you can find the handshake online too. A dues card is usually your best source of knowledge, to be honest. Awesome. I've been to Texas a few times. I love Texas. And I love Texas Freemasons. Um, I've been to Fort Worth. I've been to the Texas Masonic Retirement Community, which is an incredible place. Texas is awesome. And I love the Masons of Texas as well. A good friend of mine and somebody who's regularly on the chat is actually from Texas. I am in Windsor, Ontario, born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Presently live in Windsor, Ontario. Some Freemasons do. I mean, it depends. You have to ask each Freemason. Freemasonry is not a religion. It does not teach about religion. There are many Freemasons who believe Jesus is the Lord and Savior, who would be Christian. We also have Muslim, Jewish. Asking, what do Freemasons believe about religion would be like asking, what do the members of a football team believe about religion? Every team member will have his own views and his own opinions, or any club or any group or any organization. It's not a belief system in that sense. Now, I know many Freemasons who are Christian. I've also known some who are Muslim. I've known some who are Jewish, some who are Hindu, some who are Sikh. It's not a religion. I can tell you, though, some of my best friends in Freemasonry, their understanding of the Supreme Being is Jesus Christ, and they do believe Jesus is at least their Lord and Savior. I mean, I tend to be Zargathon. I tend to be with you. I think a lot of this talk about reptilians, I think it actually lets humans off the hook. Human beings can be bad enough. We don't need to be reptiles as well. Um, so there's two reasons for the need to believe in a supreme or a higher being. The first is tradition. It's always been a tradition since 1723 and the Anderson Constitutions that a Freemason needs to believe in some type of supreme being, not a particular religious faith, but just a supreme being in general. And so that was part of it. The other reason is when you are joining Freemasonry, you take an obligation. If you don't believe in any supreme being, anything outside of yourself, the obligation will mean less because you're not taking it to a higher power that can affect your conscience. It's the same reason why in church, or sorry, not in church, excuse me, in a court of law, when you're swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you are swearing on a Bible, a Quran, a token, because it's meant to touch your heart. However, what I would also point out is the term higher power and supreme being being a enlightenment term, is so broadly defined or liberally defined within Freemasonry that many people, especially if you're religious, they might consider me an atheist based on my statement and my belief in a supreme being. However, I'm still a Mason. So there you go. I've never understood what that means, QT7777. Um, you know, how could you, for example, oh, well, that's a fire alarm. All right, guys, I promise we're going to be okay. I promise the Masons aren't getting me. I'm going to keep talking. Well, we got the fire alarm going off. Oh, it's turned off now. Well, there you go. Um, like QTY, how could for example, a Christian be a doctor, or a Christian join the military, or a Christian be a police officer? All of those require the swearing of oaths. I mean, I've known Christian doctors, I've known Christian soldiers. How do they, be a doctor and take the Hippocratic Oath, for example? I think so. Just a quick fire alarm going off. Maybe there was an accidental thing. Um, yes, I do, Hugh Pipe. Please hit like and subscribe. Zargathon, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure you'll be okay. Well, no, I mean, I've seen Masons take their obligation on a Bible, on a Quran, on a Torah, on a Bhagavad Gita, I think it's called, on an eagle feather. I've even heard of um, Freemasons using gems as like a token because they were Wiccan. So Wicca. I never seen it, but heard of it for whatever it's worth. Um, And it is true now, I believe, in a court of law that you can simply affirm. However, throughout most of history, that was not the case. Um, I mean, uh, Well, but there's a difference between obligation and any Masonic kind of ceremonies, all of which are meant to convey certain messages and understandings and lessons. Um, However, I've never seen anything in a Masonic ritual. I've said this a million times. I've never seen anything in a Masonic ritual that is unsafe or that is illegal or that is against one's civic, religious, or um, familial responsibilities or work responsibilities for that matter. Dylan Andrews says Jesus was a hippie. He may have been. I don't know. I'm not a theological expert. So, I mean, I guess a yes should be a yes. But again, I always just go back to this idea of there's so many different organizations, groups, professions that require an oath or an obligation. I feel like this idea that an obligation is inherently anti-Christian, there has to be something incorrect about that. I do think, though, the idea of a yes should be a yes. I mean, constantly swearing an oath, if you're a liar, probably swearing an oath isn't going to make you any more truthful. I think that's the point, right? This idea of like, well, I swore an oath, therefore I must be telling the truth. Your word should be, should be trusted. It's one of those things where if somebody's lying and they're caught in a lie, very often they start saying things like, I swear to God, bro, or I swear it. At a certain point, it becomes this matter of protesting too much, maybe. Um, you are. I've known gay Freemasons. It's no issue. I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. I'm also an 18th degree Scottish Rite Mason. I am handsome. So Freemasonry is a fraternity, but it's not exclusively a fraternity. We have the Order of Women Freemasons. We have Eastern Star. There's many different organizations within Freemasonry for women. Um, um, I mean, there's a performative element to it in some cases, for better or worse. But again, Hippocratic Oath, right? It's just a lot of times, just because something is performative, there can be value to it. But if the value is exclusively performative, then that's a problem, right? So if you're doing it exclusively for performance purposes without any meaning behind it, then I think that can be a problem. These starts a pentagram because the 5 points represent the five virtues. So the 5 points represent five women in the Bible. I don't remember all of their names. Ruth, Martha, I forget the other ones now, but there's five women it's meant to represent. Ruth, Martha, Esther. Along with that, it's meant to represent five virtues, modesty, other ones represented by those women. The pentagram points down for this idea of bringing the heavenly virtues down to earth. I don't think Eve is one of them. I could be wrong. Um, I don't. If I used to know the five women, I know Eastern Star was started in, if I recall correctly, either Mississippi or Missouri. I think Mississippi in 1850. Well, I mean, Satanism, I think, is a more recent invention, so they may have borrowed it, but I don't think the pentagram is inherently satanic. The Loch Ness, it might. I bet if you hit the subscribe button, I'd be happy. Um, there is no connection between Baphomet and Masonry. Baphomet has never come up in any Masonic rituals. To my knowledge, he never. Well, I've not taken every Masonic ritual, but for someone who's been to over 1,000 Masonic meetings around the world, the fact that I've yet to hear of Baphomet except in this chat should tell you something. I mean, I suppose a KKK could, but he wouldn't want to. I don't see any value to him joining because he has to sit with brothers of all different races, all different religions, and call them brothers, whether they're black, Jewish, whatever they are. He has to call them brothers. So, for example, if he refused to call them a brother and refused to respect them, then I would not let him be a Mason. I would like blackball him, it's called, or I would remove him from the craft if he did join and started to say racist things about Freemasonry, so about his brothers, because they're his brothers and he should respect them. So I guess, again, if he didn't say anything that he was a member of the KKK and joined, so be it. But as soon as he started to treat his brothers as less than him, I would ask him to, he would be suspended for non-Masonic conduct. Um, Everybody's got to pay dues. Any organization requires dues. Um, I mean, if you're Chinese, you can join Freemasonry, and communism is a political persuasion. Within Freemasonry, you don't discuss politics or religion. So sure, we're not free from anything. There's two possible reasons why you would define Freemasonry. Either, or the free and Freemasonry, it either referred to the freedom to travel when we were tradesmen or craftsmen and traveled from job site to job site in order to, earn a living, or it referred to a type of stone called freestone, which was necessary, it was a specialized type of stone that you could pull directly from a quarry. It was not created by Freemasons. Nathaniel Bedford Forrest was a Freemason, but many KKK were not Freemasons. The majority were not. Um, Family, no, you can be a Freemason and not have no family members who are Freemasons. There are many men who join Freemasonry, and women for that matter, who join Freemasonry who have no family connections to the craft. You don't need to have a family connections or bloodlines or anything like that. Well, the stone is free, as in the stone could be easily removed from a quarry. It wasn't free in like a metaphorical or spiritual sense. It was literally free, as in you could pull it from the quarry without needing tools. Um, Amen. For that, you got to join, and you learn it that way. Bryce Keener, please hit like and subscribe. Um, I do not think the earth is flat. Freemasons don't think the earth is flat. The earth is round. If I knew a Freemason thought the earth was flat, I'd be quite concerned. Well, I mean, I can't speak for the Catholic Church, but no. For I can only speak for me, and I know many Catholic Freemasons. No issues. Amen. Might be, might not be. My mom knows I'm handsome. Freemasons do not drink blood of any sort, human or otherwise. Freemasons do not drink blood. Um, yeah, that happens very often. Thank you, Bryce Keener. I appreciate that very much. I mean, again, you can be Catholic and be a Freemason. You can be Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh. It's all fine within Freemasonry. I think the beautiful thing about Freemasonry is the religious tolerance that it so beautifully displays to the world and to communities and to the people within those communities. Um, I mean, there's a lot of knowledge within Freemasonry, but it's not specialized knowledge. What's special is the way that knowledge is applied to the world around us. Thank you, Tony. That's incredibly kind of you. Um, we are going to be ending this stream soon because I do have to get to sleep. It is now 3 in the morning and I have a busy day tomorrow. But thank you, everybody, for being here. I know many Catholic Freemasons, so don't know what to tell you, Caesar. Um, the Catholic Church and the leadership may be anti-Freemasonry. That doesn't mean that your typical or everyday Catholic may be opposed to Freemasonry. And in fact, Freemasonry is very popular amongst many areas in many countries that are Catholic majority, like the Philippines, for example. To my knowledge, Jay-Z is not a Freemason. I wanted to go to bed, Sharon, and then I kept talking because people kept on asking me questions. Anzin, well, please hit like and subscribe. Julie, please hit like and subscribe. You can only hit it once despite having 3 names. Well, they should not be beating you. They should not be beating anybody. Vic Morrison, I have to go into a whole discussion on that. If you want to learn more about it, Pope Leo the 13th wrote a papal encyclopedic about it. His information was wrong, or what he was saying was a bad interpretation of Freemasonry, but nonetheless, you can read it. I've talked about it in streams on the past. Um, um, so I'm not sure what that means, Bryce Keener. I mean, to be a Freemason, you don't have to be scared. In fact, you shouldn't be scared. Shaquille O'Neal is a Freemason. I know that. Shaquille O'Neal was made a Freemason on site. Um, I can say, there might have been animosity between some Freemasons, especially in France, and the church and Freemasons. However, it certainly would not describe it as a war. And I've been a Freemason for 20 years. I've never heard any Freemasons speak ill of the Catholic Church or of any religions. No, Freemasonry is not the same as Scientology. Scientology is, to my knowledge, a religion. Freemasonry is a civic organization or club. Um, well, Sharon, that's very kind of you. Let's see what happens. But you shouldn't be trying to meet people on YouTube, though I appreciate it. Focus on meeting people within your own sphere who are, meeting IRL, not on YouTube. But that's still kind of you. But focus on people in your own life that you actually see in person, not through a computer screen or a cell phone screen. Not sure what that means, Bryce. I've never been scared to be a Freemason. I've never been scared in Freemasonry. I've never seen anything in Freemason that would cause me to be scared or to be drained or to anything like that. Um, Slotta, well, what I am is handsome. That's what matters. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Um, I would prefer no war. How about that, Dixon? How about we have no wars? I honestly think that Freemasonry can potentially be of benefit to stopping wars by spreading brotherhood around the globe. Again, there's no centralized Masonic governing body, but that's not to say that we in Freemasonry cannot potentially provide a template for peace and understanding. Um, what I am is handsome, Sharon. What I am is handsome. I don't say whether I'm gay or not because Freemasonry does not discriminate. But again, when it comes to people, online, I always suggest, even when people say, like, can we be friends? I always suggest focus on people IRL. I'm a YouTuber, right? So, having said that, it's very kind of you. Appreciate the offer. Well, I just found out, Elite Bloodline, that Jon Stewart is also mentioned in the Epstein files. So, a lot of people and a lot of things get mentioned in there. Um, yes, I got big forehead wrinkles, Christopher. Hit like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. I mean, I would explain it as they're very expansive and they bring in a whole bunch of different people and different groups and different organizations. I mean, Jon Stewart is mentioned in the Epstein files. Um, a whole bunch of different groups and organizations are mentioned. I can't speak for the specifics because I've not read the files. I would classify it as a private, I would classify it as a civic or community group with private elements, um, as any civic or community group, for whatever it's worth. We do not worship Lucifer. Freemasonry is not a religion. We do not worship any particular organizations. Um, but thank you. Yes, I look like Shrek. Cinema, please hit like and subscribe. Cold, um, Angus Baker, I'm not a huge fan of that whole Aside of Secrets. I prefer a civic or community organization. I'm a handsome sheep, though, goons. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I can't believe I'm almost at 3,425. Yes, not everywhere. Grindcore, the Metropolitan Police, which is, to be fair, the largest police organization in London, in the UK. I'm actually not opposed to it. To be honest, Grindcore, I'm not opposed to the idea of Freemasons having to disclose, so long as the disclosures are done with the supervisors and not to the public, and so long as other civic groups have to do so as well. We do not have a Bible. Freemasons don't have a Bible. The Bible you're thinking of is the King James version of the Bible. I may sound American, but I'm Canadian. I like to be living next to Americans, though. Um, I mean, but again, I don't know what it's saying in the Epstein files about Freemasonry. Again, so I can't speak to what it says in there. I've never seen anything in Freemasonry that is illegal or immoral or wrong. So I guess that's all I can say. In fact, since 17, whatever it was, 1720, well, even earlier than that, even going back to 1590, if you want, we within Freemasonry have been instructed to be compliant and obey the laws of the countries in which we live, to be good men and true, to be honest, to obey the laws of the country in which we live, in which we travel to. So I've always seen Freemasons acting in that manner. So again, John Stewart was mentioned in the Epstein files. I don't know. I've not read them. I don't know anything about them. But, Freemasonry is such a ubiquitous organization. It's mentioned in pop culture. It's mentioned in movies. It's mentioned in television shows. You're mentioning it, right? I'm talking about it right now. So it doesn't shock me that I'm sure the Rotary Club, like, here, let me try something. I'm curious. Like, for all I know, it could be saying, oh, those darn Freemasons are trying to stop us from doing these horrible. I have no idea what it says. But let me see something because I'm curious. So the Rotary Club is mentioned, I guess, 180 times. Let's see. I guess elks are mentioned 5 times. Moose is mentioned 24 times. These are all different organizations, or, clubs. Illuminati is mentioned 153 times. They don't even exist anymore. So I'd be incredibly, actually, no, wait, I got that wrong, I think. Here it is, sorry, 13 times. So I'd be incredibly hesitant to, I don't know what it says, but the point is a lot of different groups, organizations, and clubs are mentioned, I'm sure. We do not have assassins. I've never seen a Masonic assassin. I think it'd be cool if we did. That'd be really fun. But, he was, but Manly P. Hall was also not a Freemason when he wrote The Secret Teachings of All Ages, just for the record. Rotary is a civic organization and a club, Legend Jesus. It's like Freemasonry. It's just another club or a group. It was very popular for a long time. It's declining, as are all other civic organizations and civic groups. But it's like Freemasonry in that it's a club or a group or an organization, a community group. So Adam Weishaupt created the Illuminati. He created the Illuminati in 1776. Freemasonry had already been in existence for almost 100 years at that point, since 1717 or maybe 1634. I don't think Booth was a Freemason, Waits. I think that was a myth. I could be wrong. I used to know this. Let me double check. Maybe he was. I could be wrong. So, according to Google AI, no credible evidence exists to support that John Wilkes Booth was a Freemason. I did not believe that he was a Freemason myself. So, thank you, Wild and Fresh. We do not. I don't know what a death claw is, but I'm sure I would lose. Well, Mac10, I do know that if you hit the like and subscribe button, I'd very much appreciate it. I also know I've been a Freemason for 20 years approximately, been to over 1,000 Masonic events, been to Masonic meetings and events in the Philippines, in England, in Scotland, in Bogota, in Rio, in Chicago, in Illinois, in Michigan, in Missouri, in Texas, in Florida, in California, in Manitoba, in Ontario, in Nova Scotia, in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania. And if I don't know anything after all that, then I guess I'll never know anything. Um, that Caesar, what that tells me, what that says to me, is the Catholic Church does not understand what Masonry is all about, but it does understand what the Rotary is all about. That's misunderstanding or misinformed about Freemasonry. What I am is very handsome, Mac 10. The Widow's Sons is an awesome organization. I know a lot of Widow's Sons guys. They're really cool dudes. They're really cool people. It's a motorcycle club. They do a lot of charitable work and charitable effort. A lot of times it's not exclusively Masonic, right? They will be Masons and non-Masons will be part of it. I'm not sure. We do not worship Baphomet, Moloch, Baal, anything like that. Sometimes the best thing you can do, Zargathon, is put people in their place, but in a polite way. That's a very valid skill to have. Um, it can be sometimes I try to put people in their place here on the stream, but it can be very hard to put them in their place in the right way or in a polite way, especially if they're foolish people like Goons 901 or Mac 10, um, or New Balenci for that matter. I don't know if the council don't exist anymore, at least not in any meaningful way. Like, for whatever it's worth, I've seen very little evidence that they're relevant in kind of day-to-day life. So, or in any meaningful way. Freemasonry, at least, is still relevant. Um, well, I mean, if you got his Masonic ring, that's awesome. Kobe. I mean, if you have any questions, I'm going to be ending this stream very soon, but I will be back on at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope you'll consider joining me back then. And Colby, maybe I can answer your questions, or at least based on the best of my knowledge. If you hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell, you'll know when I'm going on stream. Caesar, what is with this constant need for me to condemn things? I don't understand what that's all about, but it's getting kind of tiresome. It's actually getting very tiresome. Um, I don't have to condemn or not condemn anything. Freemasonry is not violent. Freemasonry is a good organization. This constant requiring me to condemn is getting weird. Um, I do like Cat Williams' Goons. I will say, in my opinion, the greatest opening act to any stand-up comedy special in history was his opening act to American Hustle, I think it was called, where he had that song by Rick Ross about hustling. It's incredible. Um, Beetlejuice Freemasonry is not demonic. Um, well, Caesar, it gets tiresome. Um, well, the YouTube Shriner is wrong, and the YouTube Shriner is full of baloney and did not understand what he was talking about. It is Black History Month. That is true. I'm going to talk about that at some point because Freemasonry has a really cool connection with, African American history and Black history. Yes, which is a great song. I've never heard of Baphomet until I started this stream and people started telling me I worship Baphomet, which is very frustrating, by the way, to be told what you worship. Well, the YouTube Shriner is full of shit, so there you go. Um, Good. You can be older than me and full of shit. That's very possible. Um, you can also be younger than me and full of shit, or younger than me and smarter than me, for that matter. Um, there's a little bit of Albert Pike in there, Angus Baker, but not a huge Albert Pike fan. But there's some truth to that, a little bit. Um, that is true. I am not a Shriner. I am a Master Mason, a worshipful master, a past master, and an 18th degree Scottish Rite. Um, He's not above me in rank. So goons, that goes to show how little you understand about Freemasonry and what Freemasonry is. It's don't think about it in terms of ranks, it's offices and degrees. I'm a worshipful master, I'm a third degree master mason. There's nothing higher than that. There's appendant bodies with different ranks and bodies and rituals, but that doesn't put you in a higher plane. If that Shriner is sitting next to me in lodge, we each have one vote. We each have, the allotted time to speak as per the worshipful master. And in fact, the worshipful master could very well be a third degree mason and could ask the Shriner to leave if he's causing problems. He doesn't outrank one. Nor is it is neither a cult, it is not gay nor straight. That's not how it works. Um, I do not know what for Biden and forbidden means. I like Joe Biden just fine, but that's a political question. There are many Freemasons who did not like Joe Biden and support Trump. Some support Harris, some supported Biden, some supported Obama, some supported whomever else. Freemasonry is not a political organization. Um, uh, why is it? I mean, why is it trans? I would have no issue sitting next to a trans person in lodge or anywhere else. They're people. And they're my brothers, and they're my friends, and they're my family, and they're my whatever. They're my community members. They're my neighbors. Um, Oh, goons, you seem like a very foolish, very stupid person. Also, my suspicion is you're leading a very not good life, which is unfortunate, and you're choosing to, instead of dealing with your not good life and trying to make it better, you've decided to just deal with a bunch of conspiracy nonsense to detract from the crummy life you're leading, um, which is not a good choice. My suggestion would be try to focus on how you can make yourself better and your life better, and maybe not focus on a bunch of political nonsense and conspiracy theories that mean nothing. Um, uh, well, ice gardens, a lot of people think conspiracies are awesome, but conspiracies are also incredibly harmful. They do a lot of damage to people, they really hurt people. I've seen enough people in my life fall into conspiracy traps, especially around Freemasonry, but not just around Freemasonry, just around politics in general. I've seen what it does to people, right? It's a mind killer, it's a spirit killer. Conspiracies are incredibly dangerous. I hope you will hit the like and subscribe button. That's great. Who was Albert Pike, and why does it matter what he said? Why does he get more of a say in Freemasonry than I do? Um, I mean, I was a fan of Joe Biden personally, but that's me personally. That's not a reflection of Freemasonry. All of Freemasonry has, there is no single position on political questions. Some Freemasons would like him, some didn't. Just depends on the Mason. The Masons didn't exist when the Templars were ordered executed in the 13. I think it was 1307. I forget what year it was. 13 something or other. There were no Freemasons at the time. That was the Templars. Do not know who that is. Jake the Gamer. Got to put you in timeout for a second because you're being kind of weird. I'm actually going to be ending this stream soon. However, I just want to take a moment to ask everybody one more time. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Albert Pike, or who? Albert Pike did not write a book, if that's what you're referring to, about the Three World Wars. Albert Pike could not have known about any of the world wars. Um, I like the movie Kingdom of Heaven a lot. It's a really great movie. Those might have been stonemasons. They weren't Freemasons, right? Freemasons did not exist until 1634 at the earliest. They did not, at least, well, Gabriel, that's a whole question. I don't think they did. Freemasonry started in 1634 or 1717. The Knights Templars started much earlier than that and ended much earlier than that. There's about a 400-year period between the two. The idea of Freemasons evolving from stonemasons was thanks to one gentleman in particular named Chevalier Raymond. I can't think of his name now. Chevalier Raymond something or other. He was a French Mason, and in 1937, he made a speech in which he claimed that Freemasonry evolved from the stonemasons and the Crusade. Sorry, Freemasonry evolved from the Knights Templar and the Crusaders, but I think he just looked back, liked certain symbols, and liked certain lessons he could derive from the Knights Templar, and decided to use them for symbolical purposes, not literal purposes. Don't tell me who I serve, goons. I serve whom I choose. At this point, I feel like I'm serving the YouTube algorithm more than anything else. What I try to serve, or who I try to serve, is my fellow neighbors and my fellow man. Um, you would not like me telling you whom you serve. Um, well, because symbolism, we're all dipping from the same well. Consider, for example, the square and compasses. That is a symbol that dates back to Chinese mythology, right? Ancient Chinese mythology, Fuxi and Nuwa. So there's only so many different symbols on which one can draw. Um, no, I know gay men who are Freemasons. It's fine. There's no issue with that. It's a movie. It's on Disney Plus. Thank you, Beyond Ether. That's incredibly kind. Um, Kingdom of Heaven stars Orlando Bloom. It's a good movie. I liked it a lot. I thought Edward Norton gave an incredible performance as King Baldwin. Um, I mean, wars can drive innovation, but there's many ways we can drive innovations outside of simply the war. I like to think there's more ways to drive innovation. Exploration drives innovation, for example. Um, well, goons, you're leading a very crummy, very bad life, and I feel kind of bad for you because it's clear to me that you're just an unhappy, cruel person. That was supposed to go to anyone else besides me, and now you're making fun of my, or now you're attacking my mods. So we're gonna have to get rid of you for a bit. Leave the mods be. Well, it still went to you, so there you go, Beyond Ether. Thank you so much. That's incredibly kind of you. I appreciate that, but I think it's time to end the stream. Um, well, no, because the KKK are about different things. They're about exclusion. Freemasonry is about tolerance and inclusion and respect. All right, guys. Yeah, well, you're dealing with a lot of trolls. It happens. I will be back tomorrow, I guess today, technically, Gabriel, at 1 p.m. Eastern. I have a couple mods, not many, but maybe I'll get some more soon. All right, guys. Talk to you later. I hope you all have an excellent, excellent night. See you at 1 p.m. And thank you, Beyond Ether, once again. And congratulations, Bricktop. You got a membership. Um, well, luckily, I'm not a coward. Goodbye, Gabriel. Thank you again for being here. Got to get myself some sleep soon.